Live from my backyard in Bellevue, Washington, this is the Podworms Spacecast. The Podworms are 7 lifelong friends who, just like a squirrel or any other small critter, will avoid Mike's house at all costs. Welcome to the Spacecast. Well, hello and welcome to this nice, peaceful episode of the Podworm Spacecast. We're out in my backyard. It's a nice 70 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
Blue skies. Birds are chirping. The sun is shining through the trees.
There's a peaceful, easy feeling in the air.
Yeah, it's relaxed. We're right in the middle of summer. July, late July, mid-July. What is it?
I don't know, man.
It's mid-July.
Mid-July. By the time you hear this, it's going to be late mid-July. But we have a great show in this nice, relaxed environment. And to go along with the relaxed environment, we have a few relaxed guys, starting with one half of the Deadly Brother duo, Kevin McCoy.
Hey, this is the first time I put on pants since the weekend.
Check that out. We have another man who's wearing pants, our little buddy, Jim Charters.
I'm just happy to be here in this zero gravity chair right now.
And I am Andrew LeClaire, also in the zero gravity chair. And that's all we have for the pod today. Everyone else, well, two of the space worms, or podworms rather, they called out sick. And I wasn't going to go ask for doctor's notes, but I feel like they might be faking. And then the other two, well, they didn't tell us where they're at, but they're at some event together.
You're at an undisclosed location.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not just like the apocalypse happened and we don't know yet?
I mean, if this was the apocalypse, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, this is pretty comfy.
Yeah, just hanging out,
It's
enjoying
really nice.
You've got a
enjoying the
good
weather.
fence that
Is this
we
gonna-
keep whatever zombies are coming out of here.
It's just
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be like one of those situations where we leave the house today and we realize it's just the three of us and whoever else is in the house left alive.
Well, you know what that means? That we have to repopulate the world together.
Oh, boy.
You guys prepared to do that with me?
Well, with you, of course. Anytime.
Kevin?
I'm in.
You're in?
Let's start now. Let's stop recording this shit
Okay.
now.
Wait.
Why wait? Why do we need to confirm any of this? Let's just go for it.
Why do we have to stop recording?
That's a good point.
Really good point.
Yeah, I mean, who's gonna be only half the people are gonna be listening to this episode?
It's like, what are we going to do?
If-
Put
if
us on
they're
the
all
internet
half
that
dead.
doesn't exist anymore?
Exactly. It's only for our purposes and for our
Yeah.
future children's.
Yeah.
So speaking of zombie apocalypse, when I get on the bus in Pioneer Square, I often think about the zombie apocalypse because did you say zombie apocalypse originally, or did I insert zombie apocalypse?
I said apocalypse and then I mentioned zombies because of your fences.
Yeah, because
Okay.
the high fences.
It's I mean, out of all the apocalypses to pick, I think it's a good one.
That one's the most likely in my opinion. But I think
Yeah.
about it often because the way that this bus stop works is that it's pretty popular and there's always a lot of people gathering there, and there's a line that forms, I guess a quote-unquote line. And what will happen is that there's a space there for probably 3 buses. And what happens is that the first bus arrives and then its door is right at the front of the line. That works perfectly because, as you know, with a line, that if you're the first person in the line, you get the privilege of being the first person to whatever thing you're waiting for, which makes a lot of sense. Then the issue is when the first bus is already there and another bus comes up behind it because, again, you're in the line. But what do you think happens to the people who are right outside the door at their part of the line?
Oh, all hell breaks loose.
Yes. It's complete chaos. There is no one respecting the rules of a line anymore.
No.
Whoever is right at the door just charges right in. Then you have some people who are saying, oh, no, we were at the front. There's some people who are actually these kind souls who give me some faith, which is that they actually stop. They prevent the people from behind them from loading in, and they let the people from in front of the line kind of come up and get in first. But there's a real mix, and the temper gets pretty heated pretty fast in that line, where it makes me feel like this is a very low stakes situation where it's just people trying to get on a bus to go home and just cooperate in a very simple manner. There's already a line formed, just follow the line. But it makes you think that if there was ever a situation where we had to cooperate as a species to survive, there's no chance,
No.
period.
I'm surprised that it gets so heated at that time because these are obviously people who take these same buses home every day.
Oh, yeah.
And so they know that this is always going to be the situation. There's going to be a second bus that's going to screw up the line, and yet they still get angry.
Now, here's a thought. Go ahead,
Oh,
Kevin.
I was gonna say I feel like the problem is the entire concept of lines, right?
Okay.
Like, what if we just had chaos all the time?
Oh, just constant
and
chaos.
then you'd be like, well, of course we can survive because we always live in chaos.
We thrive in chaos.
Yeah, that's what we are made for, is chaos.
That's
like
not.
like you don't see wolves waiting in line.
No.
No, but they're still alive.
No. I mean,
Not very much so. Yeah.
they just respect the
Most
alpha.
most animals don't get into line.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so here's another idea I just had, and
Ants get in line.
tell me if
Ants definitely get in line.
and ants are pretty efficient actually. This idea, you can let me know if this would work or not. But I'm thinking that there should be, at your normal 9-to-5 job, there should be a mandatory last 15 minutes of the day should be dedicated to everybody just jacking off. So
Wait a second.
when you're leaving work and getting into traffic, you're already so chilled out, you're relaxed, that it just provides this much better
So,
environment.
like, as a society, we provide the means for people to get off at the end of the day so that everybody's more relaxed on their way home.
yes.
I guess that's not such a bad idea. You know?
How much? So
I mean, logistically, it's a little challenging.
logistically,
that's a
little
lot of
challenge.
office space that I don't ever want to walk through.
But here's what you need: is you basically just need a cubicle for your private parts, because
yeah, it's like twice
Wait.
the expenses of what you're currently spending.
no, but I'm not saying a full size cubicle.
Yeah,
It needs
he's not
to be,
talking about a full
like you
cube.
take an actual cubicle and you scale it down about 10 times, and you just kind of place it on your lap.
Wait, so you can still make eye contact with people?
Yes, if you wanted to, but it's going to be like a social norm where you don't. It's one of those awkward things. The same way you don't pull up next to somebody at a urinal, you don't make eye contact during the last 15 minutes of the day.
I like it.
You're on board.
I was
don't
more
like it.
thinking of like a.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking of a situation where you have your own personal cubicle, right, already in your office, but like let's say you press a few buttons or you like pull out some shutters and the whole thing like just encloses on itself.
Whoa. Okay.
You know what I mean?
So there's some real
So it has
infrastructure.
a double like it has another bonus because it also could protect you during the zombie apocalypse.
Well, like sexual harassment in the workplace is already a problem. Like this is like
Well, actually, this is going to counteract that, because those people who, because let's be honest, that when you're kind of, you're a little bit horny, ideas that are bad seem to be a lot better than they really
That's
are.
right.
And so if you give people an opportunity to just kind of get it out of their system, they're going to make better choices,
Be more productive at work.
be more productive. So maybe, okay, Jim, this gives you an idea. At the end of the day, that's good for the commute home, but the rest of the day, they're already kind of all pent up and frustrated.
Yeah.
So we need to build in a second one, like mid-morning,
of course.
like after coffee. So I'm thinking, you get in the office, have your coffee. Then about an hour into the day, you're feeling that first kind of slump. You're getting up from your desk to go walk around, stretch the legs.
Yeah.
You jack off.
Okay.
Okay. Hour later, you got your meeting, go walk around, whatever. That one, just nothing special. Then you kind of get to go to lunch. So we already made it through half the day. Then, second half of the day, like normal into the last 15 minutes, then second jack off, go
Right.
home.
you know what I really, if I were to get on this campaign, I think where I would start is just like expanding telecommuting, like
Okay.
just everybody works from home now, and then take it on your own time and in your own space.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're not going to build it into their day for them?
No, I mean I feel like this will sort itself out naturally.
You're not going to micromanage.
No, I'm not gonna, because I do manage people, and I can't imagine.
Well,
Well, are we saying that managers like enforce this?
I think you'd have if in an hourly environment you'd have to,
In an hourly, definitely.
because there could be
definitely.
a lawsuit potentially where
You'd have to take your breaks.
you have to take your breaks, you
Yeah.
have to punch in and out, and so
Yeah.
you have to follow up and say, "Hey, I didn't see you take your whack off break."
That's right.
And I guess you could smoke too at the same time. Like if you, I mean, at the same time.
At the same time.
so we literally had like a department meeting today, and the theme of the department meeting for an hour we talked about don't get mad at the traffic, you are the traffic,
Oh dear.
right?
Okay.
Like and there was like it started with like a comic of a bunch of cars in traffic, and all of the different drivers had the same thought bubble, which is if these idiots just took the bus or rode a bike, the lane would be free.
Uh-huh.
But I don't, and I can't remember. It's something about the don't get mad at the traffic. You are the traffic, basically.
Right.
And so then the theme was to like try and like
You be
get
the
out of the
change.
way, like help other people move, and that way hopefully other people will help you move as well, and like let's all work together, sort of thing.
Uh huh.
Did you leave feeling inspired?
So inspired.
Yeah.
I actually did like the meeting because I think it's something that we don't think about a lot. The way it works at our work is like something won't happen or some technology thing's not working the way that we want it, and we'll be like, oh, screw those guys. I wish they would just get their act together, sort of thing, which I don't think is helpful.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it increases empathy. I don't know if this is interesting pod content, but
I mean, this is just a chill environment.
Yeah, we're just hanging outside.
We're just relaxing in the
chilling
backyard.
wearing pants.
Dude, we're in zero gravity chairs.
I was wearing sweat shorts all weekend and
Sweat
yesterday.
shorts.
Whoa.
So like sweatpant material, but cut off of the knees.
Yeah, it's wonderful, especially in summer.
I gotta get me a pair of those for summertime.
Isn't that a little bit hot in the summer?
I think it's great. It's like so comfortable and soft.
Now, what are you wearing on the top? You going topless?
T-shirt.
Okay.
T-shirt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I have the situation now where I don't have like any lounging shorts anymore. I've got like shorts that I wear out. I've got gym shorts that have a liner, so they're not like hanging out.
Aren't
shorts.
all of your shorts gym shorts?
I was gonna
That's
say that, but then I stopped
right.
myself.
You got it, Andrew.
Yeah, it's probably smarter to stop yourself.
If you listen back, listener, you can hear me go, and then it stops.
I have several pairs of shorts I lounge around in, but I have one that I prefer to wear. That's a pair of basketball shorts, like baggy black basketball shorts. They're probably 13 years old at this point.
Hell yeah.
And every time I wear them, Emily, like, she hates them so much.
I had a pair of those until I got them. I got paint all over them when I was painting my office, and now I don't wear them anymore.
But those are perfect for lounging around the house. But here's the problem, because my shorts also have paint on them, and they've had paint on them for a long time. And the issue is that you wear it in the house, and you're like, okay, these are my new lounging around the house shorts.
Yeah.
But then you get complacent, and then they become your running errand shorts.
And then you leave the house.
And then it becomes you're hanging out with friends shorts. You know, the goalpost just kind of keeps moving. So I think there is, like, that's the same way with slippers too. Is there any slippers that have a sole where you can actually go outside with them?
Yep.
It's like, oh, I'm just going to take the trash out on these. Oh, I'm just going to go run to the store in these. And then next thing you know, you're wearing them to work.
Yep. Next thing you know, you're wearing them to a wedding.
It's
A wedding, yep.
Yeah, I haven't gotten there. But I was gonna say I work from home, so that's definitely true.
Yeah. Well, your experience is a little bit different than ours. Let me tell you what we have going on the show today. This is just the intro. This is just the intro to the show.
If you like what you've heard so far, get ready.
Keep listening, listener.
You're going to like the rest of what's going on. Kevin's life has been falling apart. We're going to hear why. Jim went on a trip to Lake Wenatchee with Mike.
That's right.
And he's going to tell us all about it. Perhaps that's why Mike's not here today.
It might be.
Maybe Mike's not even with us on this earth anymore.
You'll find out.
We'll find out. And then we're going to close the episode out with a game we didn't have a chance to get to last episode because of all the car drama in the neighborhood, NSRG. That's all coming up. Before we get into that, I had a weird experience at the grocery store, not at my friendly neighborhood QFC that we always talk about on this show, we being me. This was actually in Woodinville at the Hagen, and we were going to just pick up some stuff for dinner. We were out in that direction picking up some stuff to grill, and we were just walking along talking in the grocery store, and this guy kind of comes out of an aisle fairly quickly, like kind of perpendicular to where he'd be like basically T-boning us if he was in his car. He comes out really quick and he says something quick to me that I couldn't understand the first time. I said, "Oh, what'd you say?" He said, "Oh, is that a Rolex?" And he's pointing at my watch.
What?
And I said, "Oh, no, it's not a Rolex. It's a Seiko." And I don't know Rolex, what they look like, and I'm not sure if it's possible that these could have been confused. But that's how he started this conversation. He walked up to me and said, "Is that a Rolex?" And I said, "No." And so we just kind of chatted for a few minutes. He was a nice enough guy. He had like a somewhat of an accent, but I couldn't quite pin where he was from. But we were kind of just like chatting as we were walking the same direction going to the meat department. And then after our 15, 20-second interaction, it's like, all right, well,
see you later.
have a good day, the same way you do with all strangers you run into.
And then he's like, by the way, my name's Clive.
It was Clive.
Oh!
He flew out and surprised me at the Hagen.
Dang.
He put a tracker on my phone. No, but we kind of went our separate ways, and then I was looking at the meat case, looking for stuff to buy, and I kind of noticed out of the corner of my eye that he was still kind of hanging there by me. but he wasn't really looking at anything. And Emily had already kind of, I think she was picking up weird vibes off this
Was
guy.
he like looking directly at you as you're standing at the meat cave?
So I wasn't looking directly at him, but I could just see out of the corner of my eye he was just standing there. And he wasn't really looking at any of the food. And so at this point, I'm trying to figure out how to actually kind of dodge him again, because something about him indicates he's going to want to start another conversation with me.
Yeah.
And so I walk past him, and sure enough, he starts another conversation. He's kind of making eye contact, and he's like, "Oh, you guys grilling?"
Oh no.
And I said, "Oh yeah, we're just looking for something to grill. It's a nice day out. Wanted to make sure we go outside and
You gonna be out there grilling with your Rolex?
And so we had again another conversation, and this one just I can't get out of somehow. We start talking about. He's like, I don't know how the conversation got here, but we were talking about what we were gonna be doing outside. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm looking to go for a swim. You know any good fresh water to go swimming? I don't want to swim in any salt water." And my first thought is Lake Washington.
Yeah.
And
good recommendation.
I mean, it seems like a pretty obvious one to me. And I said Lake Washington. I said, "Where are you from?" Because I figured that he must not be from around here to ask fresh water.
You know any good fresh water around here?
Yeah, like he must. I mean, I'm picking up on some sort of an accent, and he said that he just moved from Olympia, and so he's from the same state. And then he said that he moved previous from that. He was in like Vancouver, Washington. And so he's been moving north. But he's been in the state.
These are all places that have access to freshwater swimming.
Yeah. And the whole thing was just very weird. Got some weird vibes off of him. And we finally managed to kind of split and go our separate ways. But Emily and I both didn't really say anything about it while we were in the store. But as we were walking to the car, we both mentioned that we got some weird vibes off this dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't quite pin what was going on. So what do you think this guy's motive was? Because part of me thought, this was a Sunday, by the way.
Okay.
Part of me thought that he was like a really friendly recruiter for a church or something.
Yeah.
And he was trying to just,
it's a likely story.
Start conversations up with people in the grocery store and get them to join. Or he was like some weird swinger who was looking to
swim with you guys at a body of fresh water.
Yeah, he wanted to do some weird sex stuff with us.
Yeah, in a lake somewhere.
Yeah, and it's fresh water.
Fresh water. Or he was an alien, and
this is
his first interaction with a human being.
Yeah,
they like Rolexes and
all right.
bodies of fresh water to swim in.
Kevin's got it figured out.
Yeah, this is the perfect combination of someone who wants to go swimming and likes Rolexes. Okay, all right.
Okay.
He's a thief. He wanted your watch. The easiest way to get it off you is to go somewhere where you go swimming together. You get in the water. He immediately runs up, grabs all your stuff and your wallet.
This is a long
and takes
game.
off.
But so I'm gonna put myself in the shoes of a guy who owns a Rolex. Now I'm going to Lake Washington and I'm getting ready to swim. When I take my Rolex off, what do? Just like kind of like lay it on top of my shirt.
No,
you're inside the shoe.
Or you're gonna keep
inside the shoe.
Or you're gonna keep that thing on because it's already waterproof.
Yeah, I feel like
if you're a Rolex guy, then you're already wearing a waterproof watch when you go next to water. You're not gonna wear your Rolex is gonna get damaged when you're out swimming.
Not if you're a savvy Rolex.
If you're
owner.
a Rolex guy.
But I already told him I wasn't wearing a Rolex. So, I mean, maybe if he was like a more of a petty thief, where he's like, any watch is good enough for me.
That sounds more accurate, because if he just didn't know the difference, he probably thinks every fancy-looking watch is a Rolex.
Yeah. But I couldn't quite figure it out. Got a weird vibe. But I think I may have either, A, avoided a murder, B, avoided some weird sex swap situation, or C...
you're going to see him again in another grocery store closer to your home.
I think that might be the weirdest. But I just don't know if just to go up to people all day just approaching them. Oh, is that Rolex? Is that Rolex? That's just like his pickup line.
No one's talked to him in weeks, and you're the first person that's like responded.
I'm gonna tell you a similar story, but more Everett themed.
Okay.
So I on right before the 4th of July. Like probably either the Sunday before or on the day of the 4th of July, I went to the Safeway to go get some ice and stuff. And like there's these two guys that were standing behind me in line, and they were getting was like a bottle of water so they could get cash back. And so they're like, can we just cut in front of you? Because I had some stuff. And I was like, sure. So they got cut in front of me, and this guy's like they really thank me, and then they're like panicking because they're trying to get down to the Mukilteo ferry to leave or to go someplace. And they're like, you think we're gonna get your bus? I'm like, you guys will get your bus. You're going to Everett Station. You're fine. I was like reassuring them. And then a couple of weeks goes by, and I see one of those guys, who I only recognize because he had a ponytail and like a down Eddie Bauer sort of jacket with like a yellow inside and a teal outside.
Yeah.
And he was, and I was gonna go get cash from the Chase Bank down the street, and I'm outside and he's outside and he's like, hey, can you and this is the same dude. And he's like, hey, could you just give me a ride to Mukilteo? And I was like, wait a second.
Whoa.
What is happening? I was caught off guard completely. And I was like, he's like, I'm trying to get a lift, but I don't have enough money. And I'm like, all right, well, I was feeling quite generous. And I was like, all right, well, how much money do you need to pay for your lift? Because you're right next to the bank. You can just go in and attach it to your card. And so I gave him $20 because I was like, he's trying to get to his
job.
job.
The guy $20?
Yeah, I did. Because I was like, I was feeling generous that day. And I was like, look, if you legitimately want to get down there, then whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, would you? Here's the question then: like, would you rather give $20 or give him a ride?
Yeah, and I was not going to give him a ride.
Well, I probably would have done neither, but
no. So
of the two,
so
$20.
then I'm like, okay, cool, fine. This situation's over with. I'm gonna go and leave. And he then comes back out and was like, hey, there was an overdraft fee on my account. After I put the money in, I just need $8 more. And I was like, no.
What?
This is not happening, right?
Wait, an overdraft?
Yeah. That's the way he explained it, and that's bullshit.
Okay.
And also, that's when I was like, alarms are going off. I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
And so I left. Another week, I'm driving down the street near the bank again, and the same guy, and he's a guy like our age too. The same guy, dressed exactly the same, has his phone out like he's doing the same exact like scheme on somebody else, like just down the street from the bank, like he's waiting at the bus stop. And I was like, God damn it, I'm gonna have to watch out for this guy now in Everett. He's everywhere.
I can't believe. Well,
I just don't know if his story checks out because I saw him the first time. I don't know whether he was actually trying to get to Mukilteo to begin with. And the second time you need to get the same place.
But that's a weird scam to run.
It's really bizarre.
Can you give me a ride and hope that they give you money instead? Because what if they say, oh, yeah, I'll give you a ride. Then what? Then you're in Mukilteo.
I thought about that.
Without money.
Yeah, because I was like, what if I was like, all right, because I didn't have time that day because I was working from home, and on my lunch break I got my haircut. So if I'd had the time and I was like, you know what, I'll give this guy a ride, which probably would not have ever happened. I wonder what he would said.
I cannot imagine a situation where I'd ever feel compelled to give a random dude a ride anywhere.
This reminds me of a kid who was near my work downtown back in the day, who for like 4 months just had like a little cardboard sign that said saving, like, need tickets to like Portland, like a bus ticket to Portland.
Right.
And I can't even count how many people I saw give him money. And he never went to Portland.
Yeah. Big surprise. What do you guys think about the signs that are, very honest, where it says need money for alcohol?
Yeah.
What do you like? I understand they're taking the I'm an honest guy. I'm not going to bullshit you. Yeah, I'm going to spend the money on alcohol. What do you think about that sign versus the sign where they're putting up a story like they're going to Portland?
See, I don't even think they're genuine. I think it's more of like it's like a bad joke.
It is.
It's kind of like if you hear someone drop a dish at a restaurant and someone goes job opening, like that's what it is when I see need money
Classic
for alcohol.
Dad joke.
I'm just like, it's not funny or clever. I don't know. That's how it rubs
for me. Any chance I had of giving them money, I have zero interest in doing that anymore. I mean, I basically have zero interest in giving any of those panhandlers money because it doesn't help them.
That's why that guy I ran into is such a weird scam. If it was a scam, because I wouldn't even done that if I hadn't have run into him prior in town.
You know where I'd rather give random money is if somebody like a pay it forward kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or like if someone in front of you forgot their card,
Oh yeah.
you could cover their meal or something.
Yeah.
Like that feels like a nice thing to do because you can actually see the impact where you're buying them the
Yeah.
food that they're going to buy anyway. But with the homeless person on the street, you just know that you're going to be giving them something.
When I lived in Phoenix, somebody was asking me for money for gas, and I was like, no, I'll just fill up your car, and then I filled up their car.
With your dick.
That
That was the only part you didn't tell
That's
them
right.
ahead of time.
That's right. I was like, all right, I'll just fill up your car, and then that was the end of it because I was like, if I give you money right now, I don't even know if that's your car, but I will pump the gas for you.
Yeah.
And then they siphoned it out and sold it to the next person.
You can't outsmart me.
If I had been in the sketchy part of Phoenix, absolutely would have happened.
So Kevin, your life has been in shambles, and I'm so curious to know why.
Yeah, let me read these prepared statements to the readers or listeners or clearly I should have written that line down
Well, the whole podcast actually is scripted.
Yeah, let me
including you fumbling right now.
I know.
Including me saying that you're fumbling this right now.
Why did we type this out? Why didn't we type what I just said out?
It makes it more authentic.
That's true. It does. I think the writing of our podcast is so good because it makes everything feel like it's in the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
And like a real reaction.
In a movie, you notice how people never stumble or say their words incorrectly. We actually build that into the script.
Yep.
So it feels like we're actually having an off-the-cuff conversation.
It's like a Coen Brothers script where every single pause is built in.
It does actually take a lot of my week to write these scripts, though, because they end up being hundreds of pages long.
Oh, yeah, and then we take another week to, like, go back and forth between all of us and decide what stays in and what doesn't.
Yeah, we edit heavily. Anyway, Kevin, go ahead.
I don't ever feel like I do justice to your lines. Like it's really well written.
Yeah.
But I like my acting chops are not actually as good as the script is.
I think it's gotten markedly better since the beginning.
Why did you write that in the script? It's a little self-serving.
Oopsie doopsie.
So my life's falling apart. Let's list it out.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. My wife left me.
Yeah.
Ugh.
She
Not Cheryl.
won the kids in the arbitration agreements.
But to be honest, that's actually a plus.
For three of them, yes.
Right.
But little Jonesy now.
Yeah, you wanted him. But,
I honestly have hit rock bottom. My car's broken. I've been living on the streets. I actually have a sign that says, "Please give me money for alcohol."
And you're serious. Please give me money for steak.
Yeah, for steak.
I mean, not to take your thunder here, but the steaks are gone.
I did.
The stakes are completely gone now, right?
The stakes. Normally people say the stakes are low, but the stakes are fully gone.
The stakes are completely gone.
I threw away the stakes.
Yeah, not by consumption. They're gone because you threw them in the trash.
Yeah, you know what? Like talking about the stakes out loud, however many episodes ago that was, like made me realize I don't need to live this way.
Yeah.
So this was my therapy.
That was like steak therapy.
I like I'd been embarrassed about it for quite a while, said it out loud, and then I went home and just felt free to get rid of them.
That's beautiful.
So, you know
awesome.
what? That's something the podcast gave me.
It can really help people, you know.
Well, that's okay. Another positive.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's one good thing that's happened in the mess of my life right
Right.
now. Which, you know,
Which everything else is just in complete.
totally.
It's in the toilet.
car, yeah. Like emotionally unstable. This is my last shoe. I only have one shoe on.
Yep.
I know I said I'm wearing pants, but I only got one shoe.
Yeah, the pants are just imaginary pants.
Yeah.
The other shoe got like chewed off by a dog on your walk over here.
I got attacked.
Yep.
Found out I have some serious illnesses, like
But
6 of them.
We've known about those.
Yeah. And it's all because I don't know whether or not Bob Barker's alive.
Oh Jesus, we honestly have not received any pod mail. I have personally not looked it up. Jim, have you looked? Scout's Honor, have you looked up Bob Barker's?
No, why would I?
Kevin,
I have not. No. My life would be fucking a cakewalk right now, except it's fucking terrible.
Now, would it be good if we take this moment to finally figure it out?
What? Are we allowed to do that?
We make the rules.
I feel like we're
don't
after this point.
Look, we made a
You think we're committed enough to just continue?
absolutely. We don't need to know.
I like.
Well, Kevin needs to know.
I'm afraid. Like if not knowing, I don't know. I guess here's the logic. But like if this has already brought me this far, I'm afraid of what would happen if I cheated.
Like you're gonna just kind of implode.
It'll be the end of Kevin.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
So we can either. So the choice, I guess, is like we can not look it up and continue to ruin Kevin's life,
Yeah.
or we can just look it up, or really we need you listeners to send us some sort of information about Bob Barker.
Now I'm not gonna.
I'm gonna look it up.
I'm not gonna hit enter.
No.
I'm just gonna no. Listen, I'm just gonna type is Bob Barker, and I just want to see what people are searching. All right, on Google, is Bob
Okay.
Barker.
Just a little taste.
I'm against this, but I'm also like, hopefully my life gets better.
This is just a little bit of a teaser.
This
all
is
right?
this is a big tease.
No confirm one way or the other. Is Bob Barker, the first result, still alive?
Okay.
So it says that's the first result of what people search for.
Yes. Also, is he vegan? Is he Native American? And is he married?
So there isn't
Dude, there's some.
is Bob Barker's body buried at this cemetery?
No.
Question.
But
what? No, what if I did was Bob Barker?
You know what I learned from this though.
Everybody has a past though. Like, was Bob Barker a part of the military?
True.
What I learned from this though is that last result. There's some thirsty old ladies out there looking for. They're like, is
Oh,
Bob
yeah.
Barker married?
I mean, he's got skills. He's got money.
Wow.
And he's not half bad looking either, or was.
Who knows?
We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
And
Well,
it's driving me insane.
I am not going to hit enter on this result, even though we could very easily figure this out right now. And Kevin, you might have a chance at resuming a normal life. We are going to leave it up to the space fans. So, space fans, Kevin's fate is in your hands.
Yeah.
If you know the fate of Bob Barker, and you can send us again photographic proof, because just telling us one way or the other, that's not going to cut it. If you
I'll take anything.
Yeah, Kevin will take anything, but really we need photographic evidence. Is he alive? Is he
What,
dead?
you want people to go like take photos of Bob Barker to prove he's alive?
Yeah.
Like what photo are you going to show that proves he's dead?
No, you could take a picture of his gravestone. I guess.
Yes,
if he
I need a
is.
picture
If
either-
he's dead.
Here's what I need. I need a picture of him alive and holding today's newspaper with the date on it.
Today's newspaper.
Or I need you to visit his gravesite with a newspaper and again show the date. We can't have anything.
Wait, if you show his gravesite at all, I think the question is answered, regardless of the date.
Look, the rules are the rules. I didn't make
It's
the
like
rules.
a time travel movie where you have to look at the newspaper that's today's date to realize what date it is.
It's just to prove that the photo has not been doctored and that we can get the authentic information. So that's on you, space fans. Send us in a pod mail, pwspacecast@gmail.com, and set Kevin free because his life is on a downward spiral.
Yeah.
Jim,
Yes,
you visited a beautiful lake
we did.
with a friend of the pod, Julia McCoy,
yes,
and her husband
Mike McCoy.
on the pod.
Yes,
Mike McCoy.
Mike McCoy, and it was also courtesy of superfan Elise.
Oh, really?
Yes. So, she not her, but our friend Chris, her husband's cousin, organized this for his birthday. So that's
Okay.
where we went up there.
All right.
So as I'm standing in for Mike here, this first section will be technically Mike's Critter Corner.
Oh, okay. So
Critter Corner.
Yeah.
Mike's Critter Corner continued.
Yeah, it's Critter Corner continued for sure.
All right. Or
So
like Kant period.
yes. So we stayed in a cabin that was north of Lake Wenatchee. That was way up, like down the road in the woods, like by itself,
Mm-hmm.
next to the White River, and we were warned that there's going to be tons of mosquitoes there, and there were. That wasn't really a surprise. But what was a surprise is when we started moving everything to the cabin. I was down in the basement putting my stuff in our room, and out of the corner of my eye I saw some movement, and I looked again, and in the bathroom where we just flipped on the lights, there was a little field mouse, the white belly, gray on top, trying to get out of the way of everyone. And I was like, oh, okay, well, hey guys, there's a mouse downstairs, right?
Did you announce that nonchalantly to the group?
I did that pretty much in that same tone. Hey,
All
there's a mouse downstairs.
Sorry, it's inside or outside?
Inside.
Inside.
Yes.
Like just he was chilling there before you got there.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So then I won't like.
Did you ask for a discount? Oh, this is someone you know's house.
So yeah, but we won't go over all of the other like stuff that went on in between there. But suffice to say, we got there at 9:30 p.m. and we spent until about 2 a.m. trying to catch mice in the house.
Multiple mice?
What?
Yes. And it was like at first it was like morale was very low because we're like, oh no, there's mice in this house. This is going to be bad. And then it started to build back up because we were having too much, like we were too excited about catching all these mice by hand or or setting traps and stuff.
So how are you catching? Okay.
Okay, let me
ahead.
Yeah.
So I'm telling the story for Mike because Mike was like, he was like a new man. He was like on the hunt. He was Hunter Mike, like trying, like single-handedly. He like caught 2 or 3 mice in like
by hand.
He had like a tub that he like trapped them on the ground with, basically.
Wow.
And then
So this place has got a shitload of mice.
pretty much.
Yeah, I mean the general rule is if you see one, there's many.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so myself, like I was just trying to like stay out of Mike and Chris and Derek and a couple others' way while they were like trying to deal with the situation. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna go play cards or whatever and just hang out while they were like.
Who are you playing cards with? All the guys are catching mice.
Oh, I was.
You and the ladies.
No, I was playing cards with Ben and a couple other people.
Okay.
So it wasn't everybody because we had quite a few people there, but basically they spent like 4 hours trying to catch mice, and were very successful.
Really?
Do you know the total number?
I think total number was 6 or 7.
Are you kidding
Holy
me?
crap! Inside.
Inside.
That's disgusting.
And the greatest one, unfortunately, like this is from Mike was telling me this because I went to bed at like, I don't know, around 1 o'clock because I was like, I'm done with this. And like we had cleaned everything, so it wasn't like a big deal. And I go to bed and Mike and Chris and Derek had cornered a mouse up the stairs into the loft. And I don't know how this like logically works, but essentially they were shooing it up the steps with a broom, and Chris was at the top of the steps with like the shovel for the ashes in the fireplace that he was trying to hit it with.
Jesus.
And Mike had
To
the
hit
tub. Mike
like
had
to just kill it.
That's hardcore.
and Mike had a tub to trap the mouse. And Chris somehow flicked the mouse up, like it jumped as he was trying to hit it, and batted it past Mike's head
Oh my
down
god.
the stairs, and it ended up in a pile of blankets, and they couldn't find it the rest of the night.
Oh my god.
Oh,
That's
my
nightmare
gosh.
fuel.
No.
I like the idea of like Jim gets into bed early and he turns off the light. He says, "Good night, Caitlin." He goes to put his arm around her and he puts his arm around just a big pile of mouse
pile
shit.
of mice. or she's just been replaced by a bunch of mice.
I mean, the place had to be covered in a bunch of mouse poop.
Yeah, we cleaned it up very thoroughly.
Okay.
But yes.
That sounds like a absolute disaster.
That's a lot extra for a weekend.
And that was night number 1.
Oh,
Did this mouse
Did this
But
situation
the mouse
continue?
problem was solved the rest
except
of the
for this
weekend.
one that you couldn't find.
That we couldn't find it the rest of the
Oh
weekend.
yeah,
It was
he's
gone.
fine. He integrated
He's
back
like,
into.
he's there, just no one knows where.
Because we left
He's
on
back in society.
we left
now.
on Sunday, and the rest of the group stayed into Monday, and I don't know whether that last mouse took his revenge or anything, but we basically we put all the food in the oven, like to keep to make sure they wouldn't get into it during the night. We had stuff in bins already.
I mean, so truthfully, if someone threw me down the stairs,
Yeah.
I would also go unseen.
Yeah,
after
of
that.
course.
Yeah, you would be counting your lucky stars and then getting the hell out of there.
Like, thank God for that pile of blankets.
Mike was real intense though. Like he trapped like 2 mice in a closet and was like, "It's right there. It's right now. It's over there. It's
Yeah.
over there now." And he was pulling stuff out of the closet, trying to like pulling trays and stuff, and like
Mike is like the critter, like crocodile hunter.
he is. And this just confirmed it.
Yeah, he's a wild man now.
Yeah.
Well, he's had a lot of experience at his house.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It really has.
that was the mice issue. Was the rest of the weekend pretty
The
smooth?
rest of the weekend was great. So, like I said, we didn't have a mice problem after that. They all took off, or they didn't want to deal with us anymore.
Mhm.
And we had a lovely float down the Wenatchee River from the lake to Plain, Washington.
I love that float.
It's
I've done
really
that several
nice.
Times, yeah.
And the water was just high enough, so we didn't have to get out and walk at all, which is fantastic.
That's great.
However, something did happen to me, where so I was in an inflatable kayak, and I was towing. I attached it to Caitlin and Morgan, who are in the double tube. And so there was a lot that I could like do to like push us into certain spots of the river, but they're like on their own, swinging back and forth behind me. And so we were coming up on a snag that was like kind of on the side of the river. When we come around a corner, it wasn't like across, and the current was just taking me right to it. And I was like, okay, well I got to turn and move, and I got to like just only able to turn enough where the kayak was on its side, and I didn't lean in. I leaned out.
Oh no.
And I got dunked immediately, and then I was upside down in the water, and then got trapped against the log.
Oh no.
And from my perspective, I was like, dude, this is like, I'm down here. I thought I was down there for like a minute, and they're like, no, you were underwater for literally 2 seconds. But it felt like that because I was like, I had to like grab onto the log and push myself up.
That's terrifying.
It was like one of those things where, looking back, I was like, well, I wasn't scared in the moment, but now I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that ever again.
I had a very weirdly similar experience when I floated the river. Not that one, but I floated the one by Monroe, I guess was at the Snohomish River.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in this little raft that was an inflatable thing, and it had ropes in it. And I think we were using the ropes to kind of tow people around or kind of stay connected because we had several different rafts. And right at the very, very, very end, there was all these big rocks, and they were kind of causing a whirlpool situation to go on. And so most people were bailing out right after the whirlpool, but it wasn't that big of a deal. And for some reason, once I got to the whirlpool, my little raft thing had kind of capsized, and the rope was tied around my leg. And so I was flipped over, and the rope was,
Oh God!
and I was underneath, and I was all tied up and kind of caught in this rope. And I legitimately, it's crazy because it's fast how fast something can go wrong.
Yeah.
Where if I had been a little bit more tangled or whatever, I could have easily drowned there.
Yeah.
And I remember coming out of that being very freaked out.
Yeah. That basically, I was like full of adrenaline because it was one of those things where it happened really, really fast. But if I had been underwater any longer, I would have been underneath the log against it.
You're very disoriented,
which
too.
would have been really bad.
Right.
It's so true. Like I feel like I love river floating because it's fun, and then you drink because you're like, what else we got to do?
Hell yeah.
You got a floating cooler, and you're gonna drink a lot, but then you're also like flipping a coin with your life.
Yeah.
Also on the side of that.
Well, it's deceptive because it's so like monotonous.
Yep.
For most of it, where you're just literally floating on a very slow moving river.
Yeah.
But yeah, shit like that can go wrong, and yeah.
All it takes is hitting your head in the wrong place.
Yeah.
That's right.
Like me and my friends, when we go river floating, they have like, there used to be like 30 of us that would go regularly. And there was one time we had 30 people who tied ourselves into a ginormous circle.
Oh my God.
So it looked like a big tube, like even though which was really funny. But for whatever reason, just because I haven't ever brought my own tubes, I've always borrowed whatever extra ones they have because they just have a ton. I always get a tube, and I'm a large guy. I get a tube that is made for a small person, which ends up making me top heavy.
Yeah.
And so then like pretty much anytime there's a rapid, I will fall over in some way, shape, or form because the tiny little tube that's surrounding me isn't enough to keep me inside.
Yeah.
Whereas like these tiny little girls with these huge inner tubes are like fine.
Oh yeah.
They're just like floating over.
They can take
everything.
anything.
Yeah, they're like bouncing off rocks and they're just having the best time ever. And
Yeah.
I'm like I'm out of a tube going down a rapid with my feet in front of me trying to like kick off of a rock before I hit it accidentally the wrong angle.
Yeah.
And then someone else has to catch my tube for me just so I can even like because they're still going fast and I'm like fucked.
Well, it's too bad that neither Phil nor Mike are here today because when we would go to Lake Chelan with my family, we would do tubing behind the boat, and it's fun. Like this is how it always go with my family, and this is probably the same for most people who do tubing behind a boat, which is that for the first little bit you go fairly slow and you go safe and you're making big wide turns, and the person on the raft or tube is just having a good old time behind the boat. But at some point it's like, fuck this. The only fun thing is to try and throw people off the tube. And for the tuber, it's actually more fun to try and hold on in the crazy, those crazy tight turns and stuff like that. But you get whipping pretty fast behind that thing, and the crashes are so extreme because you get tossed off so hard, and you just like hit the water at such a high speed, and you'll get caught on the rope as you're coming down, all that kind of shit. Admittedly pretty fun. Thinking about this makes me think that we should do Podworms retreat, get the speedboat and the raft.
Hell yeah.
Real
Absolutely.
soon. But there is plenty of stories of both Mike and Phil. But the thing is that Phil, real tiny guy, like he's lean, he's mean,
yeah,
and he's much smaller than
He's
myself
an
or Mike.
intuitive machine.
He was almost impossible to throw because, like you said, big ass tube, tiny little dude,
not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere. He's like sticking like shit, fly on shit. Is that the expression?
Sticking like shit.
He's sticking like shit. I mean, like shit is kind of sticky. but
I'm so lost, but yeah,
sticking
all
like
of that.
shit.
But me and Mike, we were easy to toss, and we would get tossed hard.
Yeah.
Fun times though. On the
At least for those you can have why don't we put on like life jackets for like a river float?
So that's what I was gonna say earlier. Was like, after this time I was like, if I wasn't in an inner tube, because like the kayak it's inflatable, but it didn't have much of like a keel or anything. So I wasn't sitting in the water. I was sitting right on top, and I was like, why didn't I have a life jacket? Because in an inner tube you're in it. There's less chance of you flipping over unless the tube's too small for you, like you said.
Right.
And you're not really going to go anywhere if you hit anything, right?
Uh-huh.
But in this situation, I was like, why don't we wear life jackets? Don't we do this at all?
I feel like it's just because it's like wearing a helmet on your bike.
Yeah.
It's just a nerdy thing.
Well, and the river's just shallow enough that you could stand up.
Yeah, you feel safe already.
But it's like riding your bike through a forest where there's trees you can't see.
Pretty much.
Like
I think
because at least on a lake when you're inner tubing, there's nothing there. The worst part about it is however fast the driver of the boat goes.
I think it's probably just a good idea to wear a life jacket, period, when you're in water like that.
Or just wear a life jacket all the time. You never know.
I mean, it also helps to keep your back from getting all burnt.
Yeah.
How about that?
I'm not wearing a life jacket in the boat. That's my one rule.
And really?
Well,
I've got plenty of rules.
If you're in a boat that's longer than 10 feet, probably doesn't really matter.
I guess that's true. If I'm in like a speedboat or something, then
you don't need. If you're in a boat longer than then you're fine.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that I remember as a kid, like we were on the Columbia River, and we had rented ski-doos, or wave runners or whatever you want to call them, and they were powerful enough that you could tow somebody in an inner tube behind them.
Oh, nice.
And I didn't realize that with a speedboat, it can't make as tight of turns
for sure.
a wave runner can. And so when you would tie somebody behind there, they would flip out way, way faster. And also also if you hit wake, it would get out, like the ski-doo would get out of control, and then the tube would get way out of balance, like because of that, because there's no weight. And so I was behind one, and I don't know. To this day I don't know how this happened, but they hit a wake, and I hit a wake just right, and it flipped the inner tube completely. Where I had a split second of realizing, being like, I'm upside down, head first, pointed towards the water. Wow! And then it was just like I slammed into that, and I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It was awful, because like then because I hit was underwater, and then it hit me in the back of the head with the inner tube, and it was all rough, and I was like, God.
The moment where you're waiting for the boat to come back and get you, I always get that paranoia because it's Lake Chelan. There's nothing really in there.
Right.
I mean, there's probably fish of some kind, but you get that paranoia because you're sitting out there in the middle of the lake. It's pretty big and wide and deep, and you're just sitting there floating in your little floaty inflatable vest.
Yep.
And you're like, I hope something doesn't fucking come up and start chewing on my feet or some.
Yeah.
Like, I would be so freaked out.
See, I'm more afraid of, like, make sure you turn off that goddamn motor.
being chopped up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the thing too, is that if the boat gets too far away from you, like if you get launched off and they have to do a big wide turn to come back, there's no one around you like flag for you or anything. So you just hope that some speedboat doesn't come along and chop you into a million pieces.
Yeah, that's right.
So I guess the moral of the story here, because Kevin, you like the morals.
Oh yeah, I love morals.
Wear a life
I
jacket.
love morals.
Wear a life jacket and just be safe out there.
Yeah. You know, this summertime, just be safe. Wear a life jacket.
I have one question that's completely like a step back.
Okay.
What did you guys do with the mice?
Oh.
Because like here, my
So-
thought was like just put them all in an inner tube and then go see them.
Oh, well, that we should have done that. We should have put them all. We should have like carried them all in a big bin out to the inner tube and let them free on the river, right?
Uh-huh.
Set them away.
have the
afloat.
time of their mice lives.
Yeah, exactly. That did not happen. I believe that Chris, for the first couple, Chris executed them one at a time with a shovel outside.
Jesus.
Oh no!
And so he'd be like, "All right, I'm gonna go take care of this." And we're like, "Okay." And we're all like hanging out in the living room, and we just hear through the window like clang, clang on the driveway.
I mean, that is probably one of the more humane ways you could handle it.
Right. But the problem was that there was a snow shovel, so it was too light.
Oh God. So actually, it's not humane. It's just
Not at all.
bludgeoning the shit out of it.
And
Oh
then,
my gosh.
and then like, and then like, you know,
God.
we had like we started finding more of them as the night went on because it got later and the mice were like, oh, it's time to come out. And so we started like started putting them in a bigger like tub, like clear plastic tub, and then they were taken outside and dealt with.
You were taking out
Yeah.
via snow shovel.
So
Via
amazing.
shovel, yeah.
Oh, God.
But I mean, we did catch a couple of them in traps though. Like that was like that's a classic. Like
Did he put like a black hood on with 2 eye slits?
unfortunately he did not. He was not the executioner.
Bummer.
Oh, that was the other thing is we kept having so much fun with those electric fly swatters. You guys ever seen these?
Yeah,
They have
I'm
like a
familiar.
battery pack in
I
it,
don't like where
and
this is going,
they're
but yeah.
called the executioner.
Oh my God.
And so we were using those, like we were getting really into those outside with the moths and like mosquitoes and
Take
stuff,
this.
just like constantly.
That is a good feeling.
Yeah, the executioner.
All right. Well, let's end the show with a fan favorite game. This is NSRG, the non sequitur ranking game, and I've got 4 things here for the 3 of us to give our rankings to from 1 to 4, and it's our job to justify why we placed them in the order we did. All right. So here's the 4 things. We have chocolate, sidewalk chalk, chock full, and chalk it up.
Chock. Oh, chock full like CHOCK.
Yes. Chock full, like something is, this house is chock full of mice.
Yeah.
And chalk it up, to use it in a sentence, I'm going to, I slept really poorly last night. I'm going to chalk it up to mice climbing all over my body while I was sleeping.
Okay.
I was hoping you were going to use all different forms of the chalk in one sentence. Can you do it?
No, that's too much pressure. Chocolate, sidewalk
Okay.
chalk, chock full, and chalk it up.
Chock full of nuts.
I have my order. Do you have your guys's?
I'm about to.
Okay. We'll just edit here.
Chalk it up.
Chalk it up.
I have my order.
Okay, Kevin? All right. Let's start with number 4. What'd you have, Jim?
Chock full.
Chock full?
As in chock full of mice.
Okay, interesting.
And that's your worst one?
That's my worst one, yes.
See, I was, and not to bury the lead here, but I was completely the opposite.
What?
It's almost like you say that every game.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, every single one you're like, and that's why I was the exact opposite
Well, let's
for
hear,
number 4.
I want to hear your reasoning as to why it was the last.
I think that I put chock full last only because usually when it's used in a sentence, it's in regards to something negative, like the house was chock full of mice,
Mhm.
or the car was chock full of bees, or something like that.
Okay, but I think of it in like a very positive context.
Okay.
Where
What sort of you might change my mind here.
okay, well, let's imagine that you have there's something that you really want. Like let's just say, okay. Oh, here's a good example.
Okay.
You find a paper bag on the street
Yes.
and you open it up and it's full of $100 bills.
Yes.
And you go back to your office and you say, "Hey, I found this paper bag. It was chock full of $100 bills." That's pretty good. I mean, it's like chock full. It's just full to the brim.
Yep.
You know?
So I'm with Jim.
Yeah, I'm like, this doesn't really change my mind.
Just
I'll hear
because
you out.
it totally is so dependent upon.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll let me give you some context here. I just had Burger King for dinner because like I was trying to get over here real quick after work, and that was just the fastest thing I have. And I feel
Don't
chock full
justify
right
yourself.
now.
Chock full.
Oh, you
I
feel
feel
chock full.
chock full of Burger King, and I'm going to tell you, not pleasant.
It's not good.
It is not a good feeling. I feel like shit.
You know, I was the thing you can make it positive. I thought you were gonna say chock full of nuts, which is a coffee brand that's like it's like an ancient coffee brand. It's like really vintagey, but like it's such a weird name for coffee that I like it.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be like a brownie.
Yeah, chock full of nuts.
Yeah.
Or fudge or something.
Or fudge, yeah.
I feel like I don't know people who use this expression very regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Like if someone found a bag of $100 bills and said it was chock full of $100 bills,
Uh-huh.
I'd be like, okay, what's really going on here?
You may have met a time traveler.
Or an alien.
Yeah. Okay, I can see your point.
An
but I
alien
mean,
who studied only human idioms and is like, wow, this bag is chock full of $100 bills. Where did I find these?
Okay, do you have chock full as your last one as well, Kevin?
I did, yeah.
Okay, I mean,
Cool.
I respect your opinion. I'm going to keep mine as number one.
Number one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I just think chock full is like you have so many things that are just so great to be chock full of other things.
Andrew, you keep it as number one.
What did you guys have for number 3?
Chalk it up.
I had sidewalk chalk.
Okay. I also had chalk it up.
Cool.
And my thought process here is that it's kind of an idiosyncratic phrase to use. It doesn't get very much use, but I think every time you say it, you feel kind of pleased with yourself that you managed to use it in a sentence where you feel like people now think that you're a person of culture,
Yeah.
that you can use
That
this.
you're a cool guy.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's kind of like just flexing on the
You
English
think
language.
that if you say chalk it up, people think you're a cool guy?
I think so.
Sure. It's real nonchalant, like casual.
It's one of those phrases that doesn't just roll off the tongue very easily. Like when you say it, people notice that you said it because it does kind of stand out. And so you say, I'm going to chalk it up to this.
It also,
Like,
if you use that in a sentence, like pretty right, it might just sound cool because it sounds like you just don't really care. Like you're just like, yeah, chalk it up to whatever. you
Right.
know?
Yeah, you're indifferent.
You're indifferent.
It's so interesting, and like it feels like chalk it up must have some like origins in like education.
I think it's sports.
I think it does, actually.
I think it's sports.
Do you think it's sports?
Like somebody keeping score on a chalkboard.
Oh,
That's just my.
you got a
my-
point. Chalk it up.
Exactly.
For some reason, I'm inclined to think that
Somebody's playing table tennis.
I
Chalk it up.
I can look up the etymology here.
Like it's funny. This is still like
Did you look up chock full also? Because what the hell is chalk?
yeah, CHOCK.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. What is the definition of
The
chalk?
fuck is chalk?
They come out with a new.
Okay, here we go.
okay.
So
Okay.
you were both wrong. Chalk it up is a very old expression that goes back to the custom of writing a customer's outstanding charges on a chalkboard, especially in a bar.
Oh, or like a bar tab.
Today, it means to give credit in a more general sense, as in the expression "chalk it up to experience."
So like that does lend to our cool guy theory.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just got an open tab with the bartender. You're like,
Right.
hey, chalk one up for me, barkeep.
You know what? That's great. That convinced me to keep it where I've ranked it.
Which I guess you have it higher than both of us. So.
I have it ranked as number 1.
Okay.
Oh my god.
And when I looked at my list after you asked me where Chalk It Up was, I was disgusted that it was there. Like when I put this together, like I had a reason.
Uh-huh.
And then we talked about Chock full for quite a while. And then I looked at Chalk It Up. I was like, fuck Chalk It Up. But
You
now
wanted to
that it's
change
a
your
bar
mind.
tab thing, I'm like, hell yeah, that's number
Okay,
1.
you're back on
Yeah,
board.
yeah,
All right,
yeah,
cool,
yeah.
cool.
All right.
Good. I
Well,
believe,
maybe
I believe in me.
perhaps I have put Chalk It Up too far down the list.
I might have too, but no, actually, you know what? I haven't. It's
Well,
right where it should be.
Let's go straight to number 1 because this is where the real money's at. So obviously, you know, I'm chock full. Jim, what did you put?
Chocolate.
Were you also chocolate, Kevin?
No, I was Chalk It Up.
Oh, you were Chalk It Up.
Like I said.
The
Okay,
hell
right.
do both you guys have against chocolate?
I mean,
it's number 2 for me.
I was chocolate number 2 as
Okay,
well.
Okay.
And I actually had sidewalk chalk as being number 1 because sidewalk chalk is just such a childhood joy.
I had it as number 2 because both chocolate and sidewalk chalk, very positive memories for a child.
Right.
See, I don't know if you remember anything about me or gloves or chicken wings or anything like that.
Yeah.
And how much I hate shit on my hands.
Uh-huh.
Oh, chalk is not one of them.
Sidewalk chalk, not my best friend.
Here's what I'll say about sidewalk chalk though, is that with chalk used on a chalkboard, it's very thin.
Yeah.
And it kind of has that weird, like even just thinking about it, it just has an opportunity to make a weird, displeasing noise.
Yeah,
Yes.
when you write, like, they call it nails on the chalkboard, but
Yeah.
sometimes chalk on the
Chalk on the
chalkboard
chalkboard.
just does that.
But the big fat chalk, like something about like having a bigger thing to grip onto,
Yeah.
it just makes it a little bit less icky, I think.
And the great thing is, as a kid, you get onto your driveway or sidewalk or street, and you're like, wow, look at all this canvas I have
Uh-huh.
to do drawings. Like I have the most space I could possibly have.
Right, you can go to town.
Yeah.
I
Hopscotch.
Yeah.
love those
hopscotch.
people who do like the chalk perspective drawings on the
Hell
sidewalk,
yeah.
where it like looks like it's a hole or something,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
something like that.
Space.
Those guys are awesome.
Yeah.
However, I never want to do it. Like I'll watch it, I won't touch it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm at.
Right.
Number
Huh.
3.
That's fair.
We'll have to get him some gloves.
Yeah. I mean,
I could wear gloves while doing sidewalk chalk.
I bet those guys who do like the sidewalk art wear gloves too.
You know, it's interesting because I do, when I do weightlifting, I put chalk on to hold the bar, but that doesn't affect me because I'm already just gross and I know I'm going to take a shower.
Yeah.
But sidewalk chalk, I'm like, I got to take a shower and I didn't even plan on it.
well, this is the thing of where the worst thing that can happen to you is to get kind of wet, like to get one sock damp in the toe area.
Yep.
Whereas if you know you're gonna jump into a puddle like with all your clothes on or something, not a puddle. Let's say you're gonna jump into a lake, and you keep all your clothes on. You're preparing for it.
Keep
Like,
your
I'm gonna
Rolex
have
on.
all these clothes soaking wet. I'm gonna take them off. But if you just step into a puddle by accident, get kind of wet, it's like, ugh, that's the worst thing in the
That's
world.
true.
So if you get yourself all chalky, that's one thing. If you get yourself kind of chalky, you're not really prepared for it. It's a whole nother thing.
That makes sense, yeah.
It's also impossible to get off of clothes
Oh,
without
yeah.
washing them.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm curious, space fans. Let us know your order. Send us in a pod mail, podspacecast@gmail.com. Always love reading those pod mails on the air. We are still looking for our number 1 space fan competition to happen soon. So if you think that you can be the number 1 space fan and receive your platinum membership card, go ahead and let us know. We'll get you in the competition. Other than that, make sure you follow our social media, Podworms Spacecast, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can even check us out on our website, pwspacecast.com. And if you like the show, tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell a construction worker,
Tell an enemy.
tell an enemy, and always
Tell me whether or not Bob Barker's alive.
tell Kevin. with
Save
photographic
Kevin's
evidence,
life.
if Bob Barker's alive or dead, we need to know. And until that time, space fans.
Peace.